Thank you so very much, Dr. Zanzi. I now recognize myself for 5 minutes for questions. Mrs. Edie, I want to thank you so much for appearing here today to share your very difficult story with this committee. And I'm also very saddened that your experience is one that is shared by millions of families all across this country, especially among that is, low-income families and people of color. No one should have to rely on GoFundMe to afford a roof over their head. Now, we throw, around large amounts of money in our conversations. We talked about millions and billions and trillions. And so, could you just talk a little bit about what something like $150 billion in fair funding for affordable housing investments would do for you and your family and for those in similar circumstances? Would it make a difference in your life? What would it do for you?
Of course, it would make a difference, Representative Ms. Waters. Just a little tad bit of that, like one little drop of that money could change not only my life and my family's, but a lot of families' life. That money could turn around a whole, give us back our identity and our dignity. It's just like to feel safe again, to feel like we're human again. Because when we're out here being homeless, it's just like everything is stripped away from us. It's like we don't see no end to it. But if we did have funds to help us, it would change our whole perspective. It would give us back our identity. It'll give us our place back in society where we won't feel like we're the bottom of the barrel. It will give us just a safety net where we can feel as though we can accomplish things, because if we have to constantly worry about having a roof over our head, we don't have time to adapt or trying to even put towards, is there any hope to get housing? So I feel as though, yes, the money would be something that could really help us bring back not only our identity and our self-worth, it'll be something that would definitely help us go towards trying to make ourselves be better in the future. So having the resources to be able to get affordable housing would be just like an asset to us.
Thank you so very much. Dr. Zandy, can you tell us what robust federal investments in affordable housing like those that we had in Build Back Better that we passed through the House would mean for inflation and the economy overall?
Well, Congresswoman Waters, I think they would be very positive because they were entirely focused, almost entirely focused on the supply side of the housing market, and the lack of supply that's been developing since the financial crisis over a decade ago is the key reason for the surge in house prices and rents that are adding to the inflationary pressures that we're suffering through right now. So those various grants and tax breaks that were provided in the Build Back Better plan to increase supply would address that question. And those programs are already in place. Those tax breaks are already in place. They're tried and true. They're not perfect, but they do work, and many of them do work very, very quickly and can help increase the supply of affordable rental, particularly affordable rental housing in the next 12, 18, 24 months when, obviously it's going to be very critical that we get inflation back in. And housing cost inflation, as has been pointed out, very key part of overall inflation. So getting rent growth slowing and down, that'd go a long way to getting inflation back into its box. and allowing the Fed to bring down interest rates, which of course would be critical to making sure the economy can get through the next 12, 18 months without going into recession. So I think of all the policies in Build Back Better, the housing-related supply-side policies, particularly important to addressing the high inflation that we're suffering through at this point in time.
Thank you very much. And now the gentleman from North Carolina, Mr. McHenry, who is the ranking member of the committee, is now recognized for 5 minutes.